Hi there, my name's Gill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learned an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in this wonderful world. My name is Gill Tiny, and you're on the Collaboration Global podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. And I've got one of our wonderful members, Mr. Craig Alexander Rattray, with us today. And we're going to find out if he's got any hidden depths. I wonder, have you, Andrew? Andrew? We were talking about Andrew just now. Craig, have you got hidden depths, or are you just very shallow?
I'm sure I have, Jill, and I'm fairly confident that you'll get to them in the course of the next hour or so.
Let's have some fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. So the purpose, as you know, is about being human, hidden depths, whereby everyone thinks they're pretty, well, not everyone, some people think they're amazing. Their egos walk in the door way before they do. But we want to kind of work out what your genius is, what your secret sauce is, what's your magic. But before we get down that road, can I just say, what brought you to Collaboration Global in the first place? What attracted you to our community?
I met you in the pub one evening when I was in London.
You're supposed to say that. Yes, we did.
And it's fair to say that I don't think either of us was drinking. It was Gary Waite had organised a get together of various people, and we caught up at the end of the evening. I really liked what you were talking about. There seemed to be a lot of synergy. You were talking about helping people. One of the things I want to do through what I do predominantly in finance is help people, help business owners understand finance a lot better, because I think it's one of the big failings of the finance industry is that many business owners really don't understand finance.
And you're talking to one of them. But no, when I first started my business back in 2007, I didn't understand it because the financial industry, I lay it at your feet. You use funny words and language that doesn't quite make sense to me. Debtors and creditors. Why don't you just say people that owe you money? You know, it's all this kind of jargon and language. It's the same as the tech industry. I'm going to go have a little rant now. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's the tech industry as well. Will say things. You know, what browser do you use? Would you? Oh, right, that thing. Yeah. Okay. And it's like, just give it in plain English, please, or plain French, or plain whatever language it is.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen for most, because I think part of that is that it's prolonging this myth that accounting and finance is difficult and you need to be really clever, you need to be an expert, and in general most business owners are too stupid to understand. I think that's the myth that accountants and FDs try to perpetrate, which is completely wrong, because I think if you actually break it down, as I'm sure we'll talk about in some of the things I do, Jill, it's actually very simple. Someone said to me a couple of years ago, you take a very complex subject and make it very simple. And I said to him, actually, I disagree, because I think it is a very simple subject that I just make simple because it is.
You see it very cleanly, don't you? Very matter of fact. And it's true. It's very, people make it too complicated. People make life too damn complicated. And I've always been accused of being a Pollyanna, because like, oh, you're such an optimist. You're always looking on the bright side. You always think the best of people. And I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with that? I don't get why I shouldn't, really.
Absolutely.
You know, and then it's like, oh, you're so naive, Jill, for goodness sake. But this is it. So let me give you a funny story. When I became a teacher 100 years ago, I worked in primary schools, but in order to get my qualification, I had to have a maths O-level. Sorry, GCSE. And I failed miserably, my first one. I failed miserably, my second one. So this was my third attempt, but now I needed it for a reason. So I'm in my 30s, can you imagine? And I'm taking this flipping evening class so that I can pass. And the maths teacher was amazing. If only I'd had him at school, I'd have got an A straight away. And he was very much
stop asking questions, Jill. You're on a need-to-know basis. I'm helping you pass the exam. And while he was helping me pass the exam, I learned so much about maths, and I lost my fear that had been, I can't do numbers. And I sat at the end, I'm like, well, I'm very numerate, actually. I'm very good at numbers. Not so much maths where it gets into problem solving, but everything else I'm really good at. And different times I'll be saying to him, well, why is there this and why is it? He said, you don't need to know. Fair enough. But as long as I
Jill,
let go of that, it's fine.
I think that's where a lot of the fear comes. That's where a lot of business owners have fear about the numbers, because a lot of people they've gone into the maths class, or the maths teachers told them they're too stupid at maths, and they haven't progressed, and maybe been pushed down the more technical route, so become plumbers, joiners, electricians. And these people who are very, very good at what they do have set up in business, and in many cases done very well, grown the business. And they've still got this thing at the back of their mind, I'm too stupid to understand numbers because of what the maths teacher said to them. And for that reason, they hide and they shy away from it. And what I've been trying to do through Know Your Numbers is educate business owners and to show them that, look, this isn't full of jargon, or explain the jargon and use different words like you say, people who owe us money, people that we owe money to. It's understanding those things.
Yeah.
And it's staggering the difference it makes, because to give you one example of how easy it is, I had a guy in one of my early groups who sent me an email 10 minutes after the first session. It was a 2-hour session. We were discussing profit and loss accounts and balance sheets. Not ideal at 7 a.m. in the morning, but hey, that seems to be the best time for people. And I interview everyone before they join. You got to apply, you got to interview, because you need to be the right type of person, share, contribute.
Yeah.
And he sent me this lovely email 10 past 9 after the session to say, thank you so much for letting me join the group. I've learned more in 2 hours than I have in 35 years. He was 57. He'd been running a business for 35 years.
Wow.
And he was clueless from the financial perspective.
Yeah.
And I've proven that you can explain this, and one of my big passions is actually about educating business owners. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a charity, I'm a commercial business, but I spend a lot of time doing free videos, having free sessions, educating people, pointing in the right direction. I give my books away. For me, that's what I'm passionate about, trying to help people do better in business. And I think if you understand your numbers, and you understand, more importantly, the numbers that you can manage, monitor, and influence more, you will drive the business performance even more, and then understand how you can get funding to grow it as well. It's all tied up.
Yes, it's interrelated, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is the thing. It's you've got to work on their mindset first, that there is a possibility that you're going to understand this stuff. It is okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because if your mind is closed to numbers, I mean, how can you be a plumber or an electrician or without knowing about maths and numbers? And it's just when you come to your books, it's like this kind of evil thing that, I've got to go and do my tax return, I've got to go and do my books, I've got to do my VAT, I don't want to do it. And then you put it online. I mean, the amount of people that have told me Sage is not for Joe Average, it's for an accountant to run. And yet they give it to us as though we're the ones that are supposed to be doing it. It's crazy. So it is this kind of mindset of like, no, I'm a grown up, I can do this. It's not difficult. You just have to get it explained to you. It's like any piece of software that you start in the beginning, it's like, and it's the same as writing a book. If you're not literate, or you're not, it's not your thing, you don't enjoy books, and literacy is not your love, which, self-confessed bookaholic, I just absolutely love it. To me, writing a book is easy, a joy. But to other people that feel they have to write a book because they're in business and they've been told they have to write a book because it gets them more clients, that's agonizing, because they don't know. You do A, you do B, you do C.
It's like anything, yeah. You've got to look at the positives that come out of these things, and don't. I'm a great believer. Don't do things you don't want to do. I think if you can explain to a business owner, look, see if you understand this, and then you do that, and you do that, well, you make more money, and that also allows you then to get funding in to grow your business.
Yeah.
And rather than making X, you'll be making 5 times or 10 times X. All right, because most business owners are not stupid. They're very savvy, and that's why they've set up in business. So for me, it's about pointing them in the right direction, and then in some cases on a one-to-one basis, working alongside them to do that. Know Your Numbers is different because it's done on a groups basis, but You know,
But
it's
you've got someone else there that is going to say, no, no, that's fine. Don't have to worry about that. But this is the bit we're doing, and that's what that means. And yeah, even down to if you think about how we learn, whether you're audio, visual, kinesthetic. For me, I shudder at a spreadsheet. And there's no logic to it, but I prefer looking at a table that's going down than a spreadsheet that's going across. It's visually, it hurts me to kind of, I can do it, don't get me wrong, but it's like, so what's the numbers equivalent of dyslexic?
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
that's my problem, I have, but who knows what it is, but you can overcome it. Whatever the problem is, it can be overcome. So do you see the education system that we have in place is fit for purpose when people are looking to have a side hustle alongside their job when they leave school or leave university or any education that they're in at the moment? Do you think that that's something that's needed to kind of
So
give kids
if,
real
yeah,
life?
yes. Yes is the short answer. The long answer may take us a couple of days to go through, but I'll try and abbreviate. When I remember I left school. I did 6 years. I left school in 1988. So I don't know how education has changed since, but we received no education whatsoever on managing money, and we received no education whatsoever in terms of managing our mind. And if we think about what causes people a lot of stress, it's money problems. A lot of people don't know how to get rid of things in their mind or forget things or move forward. So I think if we had more education in those areas, it would certainly help.
Mm.
But yeah, in terms of people setting up in business, then yeah, I feel sorry for a lot of people because they see an opportunity, they grasp it, they go and invest time and money, and then they're badly let down by the support they have, or well, when I say support, it's lack of support from a financial perspective, because they don't know, and they're not stupid, I wouldn't expect someone to take me up on a roof and know how to fix the roof, or to take me into a bathroom and know how to fix the plumbing problem. I've not been trained in that. So it's about understanding what people know and then working alongside them, or at least pointing people in the right direction to understand a small bit. For me, it's small chunks at a time.
Yeah, I mean, what I found useful back in 2007 when I started my first business, I took a leaf out of Michael Gerber's book, who he wrote the E-Myth.
Yes. Yeah.
And basically, if there's something that you're not a fan of, you don't have to conquer every single part of your business, but you have to understand it.
Exactly.
So I then made sure that I knew everything about, my business and how it was paid, and the accountant, got chatting with him and got shown every single thing. So I understand this, and yes, I get that. If I had to, don't want to, but if I had to, I could do it all on my own. But I'm going to outsource it,
But you
and
don't.
I'm
But you
going to
don't
get
need.
someone else
Yeah.
to do it for
Yeah.
me. And that is just kind of whew, but at the same time, it's not abdicating responsibility.
You can't. At the end of the day, yeah, every business needs an accountant to produce their statutory accounts and their tax returns, unless they can do it themselves, right? I've got my own accountant. I don't even do that myself. Don't do my own VAT return. Don't do anything. I stick to what at least what I think I'm good at. Okay? And I then get other people, bring in other experts to do other areas of the business, and I think that's a great way to grow your business. And like you say, you don't need to know how to do everything. From the Know Your Numbers groups, I don't expect anyone to pitch up and sit beside me one day and create a profit and loss account and a balance sheet. But I expect them to tell me the format and the layout and how it works, what it does, and also what the key numbers are in their business, so that they can then go away and focus on those key numbers. They're the ones that they can really influence and the ones that they can drive forward. Because it's all about understanding that and then generating more profit, cash flow, and increasing the value of your business. That's the whole point. I think one of the phrases we use with it is learn, apply, and grow. So you learn it, you go away and you apply in your business, and both you and your business grow as a result.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing I remember, a friend of mine once said, "You don't know what you don't know. You don't know."
And that's a big problem with a lot of business owners, that they don't know these things.
And
And
without
as I
that
say,
awareness, you
yeah,
can't see the danger signs, you can't see all the little, you know, flagging things. I think I told you this story before, but I worked, I coached a couple of plumbers, brothers, um, and they thought their business was going to go under. They were that desperately worried about it. And we sat down and we started looking at all the different areas. And it's like, so, you know, how many clients, what your, you know, rates, you know, 30 days, pay in advance, blah, blah, blah. They weren't asking for money up front for a start, even though they were going off buying all the equipment. And then they worked it out, they owed over they were owed over £70,000.
yeah,
It's like, how? That's a jolly good, you know, holiday, or all sorts of things could be going on there. And then also they had stocks that they hadn't sorted or itemized.
yeah.
So they didn't know what was there. So they were just buying what they needed for the next job. And there were leftovers, and there were things that they had so much. And there was about another 30 or 40,000 pounds worth of excess stock that they had.
Yes.
So we had to then go back to the basics of, you know, this is how you make a debt chasing call, and this is what you say. And they did it, and they got so much money in, and they got the stores sorted and everything bit by bit. But it's like they were just in this rabbit in the headlights space. You know, we've got business coming in, like we've got so much business coming in, and yet this is dropping, and why haven't we got more money, and how are we not making any money? And they were
Yeah.
desperate.
They're focused on what they know, so driving and basically what they know is the operational side of the business.
Exactly.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that profit is not the same as cash. And you can be very profitable. You can be doing a lot of profitable work. But what happens in most cases is you need to pay your employees either at the end of the week or the end of the month. Because if you don't, they tend not to turn up the following Monday. You'll often need to pay your suppliers, pay for materials, perhaps in advance, but at least generally earlier than before you're paid. So you've got this gap that you need to fund, you know, as your working capital gap. And unfortunately, the more you grow, the wider that gets. And because a lot of people don't understand how to get funding into their business as well, they then end up in a situation where they're working ridiculously long hours, they're not paying themselves, and they're worried about how they pay the wages next week and how they pay the suppliers. And all of that's actually easily fixed if you do a number of reasonably simple things.
Yeah. Well, let's rewind slightly. The energy that you give off, Mr. Rattray, is just passionate about helping people, but passionate about making it simple and knowing your numbers, and this kind of really, I don't know if anyone said this to you before, I'm just saying it out loud, really a kind, caring person that I imagine, you know, you would give your last penny to help someone because you know that they're going to be able to make some money out of it, and you want to help them and support them. I'm curious, where does this come from? When was the first time that you thought, I'm really good at this, I love this, and this is what I'm going to do?
Well, thank you for the kind words. It's very nice of you to say that. Honestly, Jill, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And my upbringing, I'm not saying I had a difficult upbringing, but I was the first in my family to go to university. We lived in a council flat when I was born. We were there for 7-8 years. We moved to a semi-detached after that, and that's what I knew. You know, we were happy, and you know, you don't. It's back to what you were saying. You don't know what you don't know. So that's, you know, this is just how everybody lives. That's the way it is. And I've always been a hard worker. So I did a couple of paper rounds from the age of 13. I started selling sportswear, discounted sportswear, when I was 15 in competition with one of the PE teachers at school who called for me one day and threatened to beat me up.
No.
In the
Wow.
end, we actually went into business together, which is another story. And I worked in McDonald's part-time to pay myself through university.
Brilliant.
And in terms of helping people, I really don't know where that's come from. I mean, I like doing what I do and seeing the difference it makes. You know, I like someone who comes to me who's, you know, they're turning over £500,000 and they don't have very much cash, but they've got all these opportunities, and we change a few things, we bring in funding, and within a couple of years they're turning over 5 million, and they're making between £500,000 and £1 million profit. You know, things like that I really enjoy. And one of the reasons I do like giving back is that I just think business owners in general are badly advised. Not saying by everyone, I'm not saying every advisor out there is bad, because that is not true. But I think in general, if you went and asked 100 business people just at random, do you understand your accounts and finance? 80% probably say no. Because I don't think they do. So what I've been trying to do, I mean, so fortunate position where I can spend a bit of time recording videos of people educating, written a couple of books that, fine, you can buy them on Amazon, but for me, it's about giving them out. It's allowing people to download them so they can educate themselves. That's just a big passion of mine now as well. And I'll keep doing that. It's where Know Your Numbers came from. Don't get me wrong, I want to make money. I want people to join the course and pay for the Know Your Numbers course. But if they want to go into the training academy where there's 73 videos, then that's fine. I've done my bit to help them. And if I can point one person in the right direction that helps them, then that's fantastic. Because you've got to remember there's a lot of mental health issues come out of businesses not performing, people not having cash, people struggling, businesses going bust, all of that. And it's challenging. It takes its toll on those individuals and also their families as well. Because with most businesses that I deal with, they'll tend to be, when they come to me, they'll be between 1 and 5 million, 1 and 10 million. And they're often husband and wife, or their brothers or the sisters, their family. So it's not just about business, it's about family as well. It's people's lives. And I think a lot of the businesses that are large, a lot of large corporates and PLCs, they don't understand that.
Yeah.
It's, for me, business is personal.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is the thing, is that they're coming to you from a place of, we've tried everything, we've done this, it's not working. And you're saying, well, let's get funding. And they're probably thinking, well, that's going to be interesting, that's going to be more money. But you have experience that you go, you do this, and you get this. And then, so once you've worked out that they've got a stream of potential income coming in, but they just need to put this widget here and that, what's it over there, then they can. But when you're in that restricted, scared place, you can't see the wood for the trees, can you? So to have
exactly. But again, that's also because a lot of business owners don't understand how to get their business properly funded. They assume they've got to do everything themselves.
Yeah.
But if you've got the right financial information, you know where you are, you know where you've been, and you know where you're going in terms of the forecast, you can then show how much money you need to go from, 2 million to 5 million. And we can then go and raise that money to allow them to then do that. And it's not, it's not as difficult as people make out. Okay, it's not a 5-minute job. But if you do that properly and you've got a good commercial business that's profitable, then all of that's reasonably easily achievable.
So I know about 5-10 years ago, that was quite an easy thing to do. What would you say to the current climate? Is it something that people are reluctant to do, go and get funding, or do you think that that's the way forward for them?
I think it depends on your attitude to risk and your ambition. I tend to work with businesses that are growing, and I would rather work with a business that's at £500,000 just now that wants to get to 10 million than a business that's at 20 million who will be at 20 million forever, because that's not my skill set.
Yeah.
And I don't want to work with what I call lifestyle businesses where you're at a particular level, you're quite comfortable, and you just continue like that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because there's a lot of great lifestyle businesses.
Yeah.
Now, if you can work 20 hours a week, make a lot of money, look after a lot of other people, then hey, crack on. You don't need to take on the world. But I've got some other clients who want to go from low millions to many, many millions. That's their ambition. So I want to work with those people. And for me, it's about packaging up what they're doing. I mean, my role is actually to make the funder's role easy. My role is to make the funder say yes. Okay. And the way you make the funder say yes is by giving them the right financial information. And the financial information a funder needs is exactly the financial information that you need to run your business. And that's where the Know Your Numbers framework came from. It's about understanding where you are, where you've been, and where you're going. You need to know that to run your business and make decisions, and the bank needs to know that to fund you. So if you can tie all of that together and you can explain what you're trying to do, who's doing it, who you do it for, funding becomes reasonably simple. Because despite what you'll read in the press that, banks and funders, they don't want to lend, well, they do, because they only make money if they lend money, but they want to lend to good opportunities. They don't want to lend to people who aren't going to give them the money back or make a return for them. So it's about making sure you package that properly and get the business into the right shape.
Yeah, and know your numbers. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
yeah, you've got to be
Absolutely.
totally in there. So have you always been good at maths? Was that your favorite
Yeah,
subject at school?
yeah, that's yes. Maths, yeah, maths just came really easy to me. I can even remember primary one, primary two doing, basic arithmetic. It was just that's easy, yeah, that's obvious, So it's always been like that, I struggle with English given that I'm Scottish, and it's even worse that I'm learning Greek as well, as you know, Jill. So that's been a real challenge over the last year or so. But yeah, numbers for me are just easy. Yeah.
It's a science and it's a language all of its own, isn't it? There's
Yeah.
so much that you can go into. I just watched a video around game theory,
Yeah.
and it's like it's probability, but it's society, it's history. It's this combination, and if anyone wants to ignore maths because they didn't like it at school, you're missing out on these whole areas of life that it impacts in so many areas. It isn't just about business, it isn't just about money.
Yeah, also I think one of the challenges with game theory is that if I'm right, can correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's there's a winner and there's a loser. And unfortunately, that's the way a lot of people approach business, particularly where you're in construction, for example, where you've got the large contractors and the small, specialist contractors.
Mm.
And the large guys think they need to beat up the small guys to win because they think it's a zero-sum game. But actually, see if you work cleverly and work properly, you can both win. And for me, it's not a zero-sum game because everybody should be able to make out of it something. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. So you don't need to be really nasty and be really hard on these other guys, because if you keep doing that, they'll just go out of business and you won't have anyone left. And it always seems to be a race to the bottom in terms of pricing. And I talk to my clients all the time about differentiating, take price out of the equation, do something different, be unique, have something that they can't get next door. Because if you're the same as the guy next door, who's the same as the guy next door, then it does come down to price. So you will always buy the cheapest on that basis. But if you've got something that they don't have, then you can become more of a price setter, which enhances your margins, which improves your cash flow, which improves the value of your business. All of these things then become interrelated.
Mm. But I don't know which way to come at this from, but I don't know how aware you are of B1G1, but that is how a lot of businesses get differentiated. So just quick explanation for those listening if they've not heard of it. B1G1 is Business for Good. It's a charity, and basically it helps you to, I mean, anyone in business that's connected to a charity, but with B1G1, you can differentiate yourself by saying, for example, if you're a coffee shop, every time you buy a coffee, so much goes to B1G1, and you can choose where it goes. You can choose whether it goes to a village in Africa that needs fresh water, or educational supplies in the East End of London, or somewhere in America or Latin America or wherever. You get to choose where that would go. And it's such a clever setup that it's right. And I think the time is right now for people that are B corporations or Organisation for Responsible Business, all of these organisations that are kind of going, I'm doing something for the planet. I'm doing something for my employees. I'm doing something for my suppliers. I'm doing something for the person that walks through the door. And it's about paying it forward and helping others.
Yeah. I don't do B1G1. I don't really talk about charitable stuff. I do for various reasons, but I've got a number of people I donate money to regularly, and I've got you mentioned Africa. I was in Africa in January through the Greek Orthodox Church, which was fascinating. And before that, actually, I sponsor a young man in the Congo who's doing an engineering degree.
Wow.
So I'm sponsoring him through his 5-year degree, which is really nice. So he sends me lovely photographs and just things. It's nice. It's not nice. It's nice to be in that position. I think B1G1's fantastic as well in terms of what it does.
But it's just that kind of putting your giving self, which most people have a pet charity or something that they give to on a regular basis, and that's what we use in Collaboration Global. But of course, I've still got other stuff that I do personally, independently. But it's like, I think the way businesses are growing now, that is how they are using differentiators. You know, whether you're a B Corp or however, you are demonstrating somewhere to your clients or your customers that because you came to me, I'm going to do this on your in your name. And this is where we're coming to from now. Since the pandemic, I always say this is the world is shifting, and it's not what's in it for me anymore. It's how can I help? And the philosophy is, I want to win for you. I want to win for me. I want to win for the planet. I want to win for the next person that does what we are going to do. I want a win for the collaboration, and I want a win for the person who's going to experience the next collaboration because of what we've just done today. And I think if everyone starts shifting into win, 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 who else can I help to win because of what I'm doing in my business? We are, as I say in my TED Talk, we are the backbone of the economy in this country. And most Western world, so the SME world, the small medium enterprises, are the backbone of their economy. They employ the most people. They generate the most income. They pay the most wages. And they can do the most good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's spot on. It's one of the things I love about what you've created with Collaboration Global. The people, you know, it's just full of lovely people and people who want to help other people. And whilst, like you, Jill, I am an optimist, I think the day when we will all operate on that basis of helping each other, I think we're a long, long way away from that, sadly.
Well, can I just
sorry.
say, let's have a little controversial conversation.
Yeah.
I truly think that 98% of the world are really good people. And it's the 2%, 3% that give the rest of them bad press. And I think there will always be people that want to take advantage. There will always be people that are desperate. There will always be people that are mentally unstable and don't really know what they're doing anyway. But most people are good, kind-hearted, and want to help. And given the impetus, if we change the way they view their world, we can see this shift happen. And you've heard me talk before about currently in the world, it's a fear, scarcity, competition mentality, a paradigm where we're living in this place of fear. But what if it was love, connection, and abundance, a mindset of abundance where there's enough to go around? You and I know there's plenty to go around.
Absolutely.
But we're sitting in a privileged position to understand that. But if we just keep spreading that word and people experience it and realize it, like I heard on the radio, somebody rang up to say, could I just thank this unknown person who spotted that my purse had dropped out of my handbag when I was getting in my car. She took it back to the store and I managed to get my purse back. I never thought I'd see it again in a million years. And I'm like, well, that happened to me one Christmas. I just literally put my purse down while I was looking at a jumper in Marks and Spencer's, like you do, and walked into the next shop and walked into the next shop and then found something I wanted to buy in the third shop and then went, oh, where's my purse? Oh, had to go back to all the other shops because I didn't know where it was. And I went back to where I thought I'd left it and it wasn't there. Asked at the desk, oh yeah, here you go. Every single penny still inside. I think and I've had that again and again and again. If you expect that, that's what comes back to you. Law of attraction or anything else. I think the more positive and optimistic, without any caveat, the world is full of good people. Done. Okay, let's get together. Let's get them all together. Let's see what we can do. I want to go back to your childhood. And I've pinched this question from Simon Sinek, so regular listeners will know what I'm going to ask. When you're around 7 or 8, can you think of something that you did or an episode that happened where you were just really happy, you were in your happy place, it was just such joy that you just remember that moment to this day?
When I was 7 or 8, well,
Probably
when we moved house, probably when we moved from a council flat, which wasn't in the best of areas, to a nice residential area in a different type of house. But it was a small semi-detached house, but for me it was a huge change, and it was just nice going somewhere different. Yeah, don't remember too much else about my early years, in all honesty.
Do you consider you had a happy childhood, a good childhood?
Yeah, I think yes, of course happy childhood, yes. You look back and it's funny, as I said, you only know what you know, So used to look at different people with bigger houses and all that sort of thing, and then it all becomes relative, and as you move on in life and perhaps do better than you expect, they're maybe not as big as they looked, and it's just funny because you learn different things. My mother still lives in that same house that we moved to in 1978, and it's funny going back at the weekend, and she's got a little Lasso Apso dog, and every time I go, I take him walkies, so I walk round the estate, and the memories just, yeah, that's what used to stay there, and sometimes see people that parents, whatever, that that I remember from them, and that was it was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, you're still a spring chicken in comparison to some of us. So this is a thought that move at that time. I'm suggesting that has had an influence on what you do today, because what you are passionate about and what you love doing is helping people step up to the next level of where they are. And that's where you stepped up, went from your flat, which was fine. Anyone can live in a flat and it's beautiful and you stay there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You were ready, your family were ready to progress to this next stage. And you kind of seen that, so we can do that, can we? That's all we've moved. I like this feeling. This is interesting.
I don't know if it's about making dreams happen or whatever that would be, but the number of business owners that I talk to or they come to speak to me and they're stuck at a certain level, they just can't get beyond a certain level of turnover, right? But they tell me about all of these people who want to work with them. I've got this opportunity and that one and that one and that one, And I think, okay, well, let's sort out your numbers, let's sort out a forecast, and let's go and get some funding. Well, it's as simple as that, And okay, some people have got an aversion to debt. They don't understand it, or they don't want to. They don't want to pay for it. So they don't necessarily want to pay for the advice and then pay for the funding cost. And I had this discussion with a company. They were turning over less than $1 million at the time. 3 directors. And one of the directors was really keen to move forward. I had a chat with him, and he was telling me about all these opportunities. Yeah, we've got that one at 250, and this one's 200. That's $500,000. And he kept going on, and we're all good margins. And I then asked him, I said, where do you want to be in 5 years? And he said, I want to be at 5 million. I said, well, why not do that in 2 years based on what you've told me? And and basically the reason for that was funding. So I said, okay, let's work out a forecast and work out the funding we need. So we worked out what the funding was, and we went back and I talked the board through it, and 2 of the board didn't want to do it because it was going to cost about £30,000 for the actual funding, in terms of costs and some interest on top of that. But as I pointed out, they'd be able to take the gross profit they were generating from about 300,000 to probably about $1 million plus, which is all incremental. So you're looking at, anywhere between £700,000 and £1 million more at the gross profit level. That was going to cost about 30 grand. And they sort of got there eventually.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How some people are stuck at that. Why can't we do it without having to go to funding? Now, I'm one of those people that have started several businesses over the years, and we've always worked from, we put savings in to start the ball rolling. And then everything was done from, well, that's free, we'll do that. Oh, now we're earning some money, we can pay for some other bits that can happen. So it was done because we weren't in a rush. We didn't need to get there immediately.
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that approach.
No, and
it's a very sensible approach.
But if you really need to move forward and you need to get that growth into your business for sustainability, then you need to. And I have been in a position where we looked at funding, and somebody wanted to charge us, I can't remember how much funding we were going for at the time, £2,000 a week, in order to present us to potential funders. And that was, that was like a money gone, because we might not get the funding and we didn't know if we were going to. So we worked it out that, it'll take between 3 and 6 months of £2,000 a week. It's like, if we had £2,000 a week, we probably wouldn't need the funding. It's like, it was just so, and there's this element of, a part of me felt like I was being ripped off.
It sounds as if you were.
Oh,
Absolutely. Yes, without knowing the detail on how, yes. I think, but going back to the bit I was talking about there, you've
mm,
got to look at that. Is that a cost, that the funding cost of someone doing the work for it, or is that an investment?
mm,
If you view it as a cost, then you'll never do it, or you'll be very unlikely to do it.
yeah,
If you view that as an investment, I need to spend, 50 grand or 100 grand, but it'll allow me to make an extra half a million pounds of profit, for example. That's a great investment.
it is if it's a guaranteed thing. I mean, you don't know, do you?
Well,
It's
that's the
still,
thing. There's very few things guaranteed. Particularly in business,
mm,
it's difficult. But if you believe you're good at what you do and you've got the right team around you,
you're investing in
then
yourself, aren't you?
yeah, you are, and there's very few people who can set up a business and do everything. You were
Yeah.
talking about that yourself. It's about getting the right people in the right seats round the table, and that doesn't need to be someone on a full-time basis. You can bring in people on a part-time basis to do things to help you out, but get the right team. That's my advice for any business owner. Get the right team, get the right funding, and make sure you do know your numbers and your proper financials and forecasts.
Mm.
Because, in my view, you can't run your business without a forecast. Well, you can, but the only way to, well, if the way you run your business without a forecast is badly, in my view. Uh,
Don't beat your
uh,
around the bush. Say what you really think.
yeah, you know me well enough now, Jill. I tend to no, but generally I'm talking businesses that are growing in that sense. If your business is flat and it's a smaller business, then you don't really need to. But if you're ambitious and you want to grow, then you need to forecast, because if you don't, how do you know how much money you need next month or in 6 months or in 12 months? And on that basis, if you don't know, you can't then engage with a bank and tell them what you need. So you end up stuck where you are.
Yeah, yeah, and those are the people that can't have that vision for the future. They don't see where it's going. And I get in this day and age when everyone's pulling their belts in, it always reminds me of that story between the two shops. There was Woolworths and there was John Lewis, and we hit the recession the first 2011, 12, something like that. And Woolworths kind of disappeared off the telly. We didn't know anything about them, but John Lewis upped their marketing budget, and Woolworths ended up disappearing, and John Lewis is still around today. It's the different mindset around, okay, times are tough, times are hard, what are we going to do? And a lot of people go, and then it's like sink or swim. Potentially you are not going to survive the crisis that's going on.
Yeah.
And that's what happened again in 2008, isn't it? As the financial
Yeah.
crisis really hit home there. But
You've
there,
reminded me of another happy moment from being 7 or 8.
oh, good.
Going to the pick and mix at Woolworths on a Saturday. Not every Saturday, but
Yeah, yeah.
that was always fun. Yeah.
And it was a really well-loved store. And I think that the rot didn't happen because of the financial situation with the recession at that time. I think I can go into any store now. I should be a secret shopper, and I can tell you they're going to go under. Yeah, I can see what shops are going to close because they're just not being looked after properly.
Yes.
It wasn't pristine, it wasn't laid out with love, it wasn't cared for. And that's why John Lewis does so well, because the staff it employs are, in effect, the owners of the shop,
Yes.
and they're the ones that care. So they go out of their way to help you. And you go in there and you don't see anything that's really, I mean, sometimes you do, people have off days, but generally you go into that store and it looks lovely. There was a shop in Harlow where I used to live many years ago, Marks and Spencer's. And as much as I loved Marks and Spencer's and I wanted it to do well, I said, this shop is going to be closed this time next year. And it lasted 6 months and it was gone because the people in there just didn't care at all. It's interesting how it works out, isn't it? Okay, so let's move business to one side for a little bit. You you've got two massive learnings going on at the moment, one physical and one mental. Tell us why you chose to learn about Taekwondo.
I'm always doing different things. I've always looked after myself in general. My father had a heart attack and a stroke when he was 35, and I was only 15 at the time, so that's clearly left a mark on me. So I've always looked after myself. I've got a gym in the house. I gave up alcohol nearly in 2 months. It'll be 5 years since I gave up alcohol. I eat well. And I was just at the stage where I was just thinking about doing something different, and started thinking about looking after myself better. I was working between 70 and 80 hours a week, which is a lot. No, that was through choice, because I love what I do. So we don't want to do this project. You want to work with these people? Oh yeah, nice people. Yeah, just and before you know it, you're working a lot. So we were in. I think I'd 8 holidays last year, despite having saying all of that, and we'd gone to Crete in, I think it was in August, and I was doing like 14, 15 hours every day for about the 10 days before we left. Got to Crete and I was doing 4 or 5 hours every day. We were there for 12 days. And I wasn't complaining because I was sitting outside in the sun working. And I just thought, I don't need to keep doing this. I don't want to keep doing this. So I decided I was going to resign from 4 clients. I resigned from 4 clients and I freed up 12 days a month. And then I thought, I need to look after myself better. I'll go and have a massage every week. So I'll stop, won't do as much work, try and keep my diary clear on a Friday, go for a massage on a Friday. So I was getting a massage, first massage in this place. It took me 4 weeks to find somewhere. Everywhere was full. See, you can't decide on that day you want a massage unless it's maybe a Tuesday afternoon, because everything's booked up. So got chatting to the masseuse, and she was just asking, what do you do to keep fit? And I said, I've got a gym. I said, what do you do? She said, I do Taekwondo. So tell me about that. I don't really know much about it. She started telling me. I said, that sounds fantastic. I'm too old, I'm 53. And she said, no, you can do that at any age. Master Kirkwood will have a chat with you. So I went to see Master Kirkwood the following week and decided to sign up. And basically, I did say to him, I'm very much an all or nothing person. So if I do take this up, I'll be all in on it. So I've been doing at least 3 Taekwondo classes a week. I'm doing Pilates and doing other stretching classes and doing bag blast. And I feel fantastic. It's just something different. I've got a very bad knee. Played American football when I was at uni, so I had 4 operations on my knee, and I tore my anterior cruciate ligament in my first Taekwondo session. And I'm now told I've got arthritis in it as well. But it's not stopping me, because I did my first grading on Sunday, and I'm no longer a white belt. I now have a white yellow belt, and I had an A grade pass, so I'm delighted.
Congratulations. That's brilliant.
And the other side is on the mental side. As you know, I'm learning Greek. Maria, my wife, is Greek. Whilst we've been together for 8 years, I only really started learning Greek about a year ago. And as we were talking earlier, numbers come easily, language does not. Greek alphabet is completely different from our alphabet. And what makes it worse, there's some similar letters, but they're different. They look the same, but they're different.
Yeah.
There's other ones that we don't have. There's combinations of letters that sounds completely different. So it's pretty complex, but I'm really enjoying doing that as well. So I'm always doing something, Jill. I'm just always doing something to stretch myself. So I'm doing about an hour of Greek every day. I have 2 lessons a week with my Greek tutor. Nancy, and yeah, it's really enjoyable. And I'm finding that when we're in Greece, I can't properly converse like we're conversing just now, but I can listen into the conversation and I know what's being said, and I sort of fumble my way around. A very quick funny story. That same holiday in Greece, I was practicing my Greek in the restaurants and the bars and the shops, and I was doing okay. Problem is, when they see me, they know I'm not Greek.
Yeah.
And they start talking to me in English. In fact, Maria was in one shop, and they were talking to me in English, and then Maria started speaking Greek, and the lady said to her, "You speak really good Greek," and she said, "Yes, I am Greek." But my story was, we were in a restaurant one night having dinner, and I wanted to tell the waiter that the food was delicious, and without going into the Greek words, I actually told him that he was delicious. Which went down very well in the restaurant and all the waiting staff. So they were all round about, they were laughing. So we went in the same place a couple of nights later, and I got it right this time. I said my food was delicious, Maria's food was delicious, but you're still delicious.
Oh, lovely.
So yeah, but I'm always doing something, Jill. I'm writing another book at the moment as well. I've just finished off my third, the rocking chair book from my Friday afternoon LinkedIn posts. That will go live at some point in the next few weeks. And yeah, and who knows what I'll start doing next year.
It's these kind of things that keep you stretching, isn't it? It's if you're sort of going, oh, I've done this, I don't need to do that anymore,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're sedentary, then your mind doesn't kind of expand and
yeah.
grow for your clients more than anything. You know, if you're looking at the well, what else is out there and what's the latest thing and what do I think about that, and just by using a different part of your brain for the language side of things, and especially if it comes difficult to you.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it's
you're not just learning French, are you? For goodness sake, this is
yeah.
hardcore change of alphabet and everything. I really admire you. We go backwards and forwards to Cyprus, and we've learned bits and pieces along the way. But like you say, everybody speaks English because we stand out like a sore thumb.
But
Um,
it's
and
funny though, those two things I'm doing. Greek has stretched me mentally more than anything. You know, my accounting degree, my chartered accountancy qualification, they were nothing compared to this. And similarly, physically, Taekwondo has stretched me more than, you know, football, American football, working out in the gym. And, you know, I wait till I'm, you know, 52, 53 to start them both. Great.
mm,
But as far as I'm concerned, I'm living till I'm 100, so I've still got
oh,
another
yeah.
46 and a half years to go.
At least I do feel like you can choose when you're going to go. And some
That's
people
my plan.
retire and go, oh, that's it. There's nothing else that's interesting. So they pop off. And other
I also
people,
want to, and when I say live till I'm 100, I mean live. I don't mean just survive. I want
it's,
to still be
yeah,
doing the things I'm doing, not just, you know, sit in a home somewhere and do nothing.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
pointless.
no, no, no,
And
no.
that's all part of it, you know, keeping fit, keep the body fit, keep the mind fit.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm of an age where people, our peers, are starting to retire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so what do you do when, you know, when you're going to retire? I'm retiring next week. Oh, brilliant. What are you going to do? What do you mean? What am I going to do? You know, what are you going to do? So, well, might have another holiday. I'll probably play
Yeah,
a bit of
yeah.
golf. I'm like, just
Yeah,
I
exactly.
couldn't just hobby out the rest of my life.
No, no, I'm the same. I want to keep doing what I'm doing for a long time, a long, long time.
Brilliant.
Not doing 70-hour weeks, but you know,
No,
cutting it
no,
down, still, you
it's
know, still keep doing it, but doing it differently and doing it ideally from a different location,
yeah.
hopefully in Crete.
Yeah, it's
That's
balance, isn't it? It
that's
just,
the plan.
and this is what we all seek, I think, is the power of choice and the balance to do what we choose, and you know, and the power to help other people on an ongoing basis. Listen, Craig, this has been fascinating. I love that we have a money man in our community. It's good to know that, and also I like the fact that you are so impassioned about simplicity and keeping it simple and helping us to understand that level, and then that bit's not so difficult, then that bit's not so difficult. If you're listening on your if you're listening on the podcast, sorry, I'm using my hands to say that higher
Yes.
and lower. But yeah, I really love the fact that we've got you that we can turn to and get some support and help. I'm
And
really
always happy to help anyone, whether it's in the community or out with. As I keep saying, I keep things simple deliberately because people think I'm very clever. I'm not. I've got a very narrow niche in terms of what I think I'm reasonably good at, and I do it pretty well. So I don't need to be clever. So I keep it simple because I'm reasonably simple myself.
So if somebody's been listening to this podcast, they go, huh, I like the sound of this guy, and I think my business needs some funding, but I don't really know how to go about it, and I'm not really sure about if my books are in the right state, and etc. etc. How can I get hold of you?
Best place is probably LinkedIn, Craig Alexander Rattray. Website, I've got a number of different websites, but if you go to craigalexanderrattray.com, you will get the links to the other ones. The main one being knowyournumbers.biz. And on the knowyournumbers.biz, if you don't know your numbers, there's about 70 free videos on there that you can access. They're all short, they're all less than 3 minutes, and they talk about all things finance as well. So it should help, but anyone feel free just to message me if you want to have a chat on anything.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And of course, if anybody wants to come along to the Collaboration Global guest meeting, you'll probably meet Craig there. He's a regular at our monthly meetings. And if you want to find out where they are, you go to collaborationglobal.org. That's the website, and you can book through there or find us on Eventbrite and look for Collaboration Global, and you'll spot us there as well. Thank you so much for that little chat. You've kind of reassured me that I'm no longer alone as far as the numbers are concerned. I've beaten my demons in the past, but there's always a little gremlin somewhere going, oh, you don't know numbers, Jill. So
You're
now
definitely not.
I don't need to know numbers. I've got Craig. He'll help me.
You're definitely no. That doesn't count. You still need to know them yourself. You cannot devolve the responsibility.
No, you're right.
But
You're
yeah,
right.
perhaps we'll get you on the Know Your Numbers course one day, Jill. We'll save that for another day.
Okay. On that note, I'll let you go. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Jill. Lovely to chat.
We'll see you again soon. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.